back in Cincinnati. I was here last week, and Alan called me last night, you got to come back. And the reason why we're back this time, we're actually going to be doing some training. And so you asked me, what are we going to train on? Let me say this too. Whenever I get a chance to talk before women, I always go. and the reason why I do that because I understand that women just have a natural networking ability. And I have a better appreciation now when I read the story of the Christ. Remember when the Christ rose from the dead and the angel of the Lord appeared to two women first. Mary Magdalene, Heather Mary. There was a reason why. They just took that message and got it out there. So I'm here to share a message so you can get it out there. And let me just get to the meat of this. I am the founder and I am the president of the Frederick Douglass Republican Movement. And I use the word Frederick Douglass Republican and the phrase Frederick Douglass Liberty Messenger interchangeably. Remember how Federal Express became FedEx? Well, Frederick Douglass Republican is going to become Frederick Douglass Liberty Messengers. And the reason why I'm back in Cincinnati now, because Ohio is key. Ohio is key. And what we're doing, we're going to conduct some training. We're going to grow a nationwide army, starting right here. Well, we started in Alabama, but Ohio's next. We're going to grow a nationwide army of Frederick Douglass Liberty Messengers. And the way we're doing that, we're preaching to the choir. We're preaching to the choir. We're preaching to the conservative base because the conservative base needs to be energized. It needs to be empowered. It needs to be equipped and trained how to go out and bring in new choir members. You got to be trained how to do that. And the choir needs to be taught a new song to sing. And that's the Frederick Douglass Liberty Messenger message. And that's what we're going to do. So we want to empower you with this strategy of engagement that God has given me. My brother and I, we've been doing this now for 3 years. I tell you, if it works in Alabama, it can work anywhere in the country. And we have a 90% success rate of turning not only minority values, but also undecided voters, turning their votes, their values into conservative votes. Turn their values into conservative votes. And we do it through Frederick Douglass, the quintessential constitutional conservative, and also he was a self-proclaimed Republican. Frederick Douglass is the vehicle, if you will, how we can take the life-empowering message of the conservative philosophy and share it with all Americans, especially minorities, and be successful. If you're sick and tired of being called a racist, let me see your hand. If you're sick and tired of being called a sellout, let me see your hand. You just got some good training on some self-defense? Yeah. I'm going to give you some good training how to be on the offense. Okay? How we can take this message, how we can take the life-empowering values of conservative philosophy and share it with our family members, our friends, our fellow citizens, our circles of influence. Every family has a liberal in the house. And that makes Thanksgiving a tough time. Now, you may be the one that put it at the small table, but I'm going to give you a strategy how not only save this nation and make President Obama a one-term president and change the political culture in this country, but it's going to bring some healing in your family. Because sometimes politics is a tough thing, especially with our children getting this liberal education. And you didn't raise them that way. So how can we resonate with them where they can't call us a racist, they can't call us a sellout? And before I get into the strategy, let me quickly give you about a 1 to 2 minute, maybe 3 minute history lesson on Frederick Douglass, because they've taken him out of history books. And there's a reason why they have taken him out of history books. Frederick Douglass, last name he spelled with 2 S's, Douglass. And it's Frederick. Born 1818 as a slave in Maryland. Born below poverty. In other words, he did not even own his own body. Homeschooled, self-taught. Homeschooled, self-taught. Never been to school in his life, but the man wrote 3 books. 90% of black Americans at that time could not read or write. He wrote 3 books. Homeschooled, self-taught. Never slept in a bed until the age of 8. Never wore a pair of shoes at the age of 10. Let's kind of fast forward a little bit. Douglass, at the age of 20, escaped from slavery. He got very much involved in the abolitionist movement. His mentor, when he escaped from slavery, was a guy by the name of William Lloyd Garrison, the great abolitionist. He was Douglass's mentor. And there's actually three reasons why Douglass broke away from Garrison. The abolitionists and the Garrisonians, they wanted to treat Douglass like he was a freak show. Because remember, they hired Douglass to travel the country talking about his experience as a slave and the need to abolish slavery. They wanted Douglass to be a freak show because they did not want Douglass to get his freedom. They want him to remain a fugitive slave so they can help with the marketing. Come here to fugitive slave speak, Frederick Douglass. Because remember now, he escaped from slavery, he was a fugitive slave. Could have been put back in prison. That's one reason why Douglass broke away, because Douglass said, I have more to talk about. He said, no, Freddie, just tell your story. Don't be philosophical about anything. So Douglass, that's one reason why he broke away. Second reason was, William Lloyd Garrison and the Garrisonians believed that the best way to enslave was through moral exhortation, meaning that the more you talk about slavery, the more you preach about it, sooner or later folks are going to change. Douglass said no. Douglass said the best way to end slavery is through political action. Here's the relationship between Frederick Douglass and the Republican Party. The Republican Party was started in 1854 by Charles Sumner. He had two planks in his platform: to end slavery and to advance the civil rights of black Americans. Okay? Douglass started speaking 14 years before the Republican Party was started, in 1841. It was Frederick Douglass who declared political war on slavery. Because see, Douglass became the face of the abolitionist movement. The abolitionists are those who started the Republican Party. So Douglass was a catalyst. He was a spearhead within the abolitionist movement that motivated people and inspired people to do something politically to end slavery. Because remember now, the slave masters were Democrats. Okay? So that's why this Frederick Douglass Republican phrase guy gave me that, because when I talk to many black Americans, when I say Frederick Douglass Republican, that's an oxymoron. The two don't go together, but it gives me a chance to explain. So Douglass broke away from Garrison because they wanted to treat him like he was a freak show, and also this whole thing about how to end slavery, either being a pacifist like Garrison was and the Garrisonians, or taking some type of political action and start a political party. The party, of course, was started by Charles Sumner, and Douglass was an advisor to Charles Sumner. The third reason why Douglass broke away from William Lloyd Garrison, because William Lloyd Garrison and some of the Garrisonians believed that the Founding Fathers gave us slavery in the Constitution because of the 3/5 clause, saying that blacks were 3/5 of a human being. Frederick Douglass believed that himself at one time. But Douglass did something very interesting. He went back and read the Constitution for himself. Then he went back and read the Founding Fathers Convention notes. He said, wait a minute. The Constitution is not a pro-slavery document. It is an anti-slavery document. Douglass, in one of his essays, went on to say that the Constitution says, we the people. It doesn't say, we the white people. If black folks are people, then they are to be included as benefactors of what's in this Constitution. In the speech Douglass gave 1861 in Amsterdam, Douglass is the one that gives clarity to the 3/5 clause. This is an important issue because this is what keeps this country divided by the liberals. Al Sharpton was on Hannity show about 4 months ago, making the case that the Founding Fathers gave us slavery in the Constitution because of the 3/5 clause. I am a graduate of Historical Black College in Alabama A&M. I was taught that the Founding Fathers were racist and they gave us slavery in the Constitution because of the 3/5 clause. Douglass believed that himself at one time. Then Douglass said, wait a minute. The 3/5 clause, Douglass said, has nothing to do with, say, blacks or 3/5 of a human being, but it was a compromise used by the northern free states upon the southern slave states. See, the southern slave states want to count blacks in slavery as one person, one vote. The northern free states said, wait a minute. If you free them, we'll let you count them as one person, one vote. But since you can't free them, we are going to only let you count the slave population as 3/5 of a vote, which limit the congressional representation of the slave states. Had that compromise not occurred, the slave states would have majority in Congress, and slavery would have lasted probably a lot longer. Frederick Douglass was a capitalist. He was a capitalist. Frederick Douglass was a capitalist. Governor Rumley should not be ashamed of his wealth.
No.
Douglass was a capitalist. Douglass was a free market entrepreneur. Trivia question for you. Frederick Douglass passed away in 1895 as a result of a heart attack. How much money do you think this man had amassed in savings at the time of his death?
$1 million, thanks to Ina.
Somebody knows. 300. He had $300,000 in savings, which is the equivalent of $25 million today. How did he do it? He embraced conservative principles. Respect for the Constitution. Respect for life. The belief in limited government and belief in personal responsibility. To be a Frederick Douglass Republican or a Frederick Douglass Liberty Messenger is not based on color. It's based on values. Anybody can become a Frederick Douglass Republican or a Frederick Douglass Liberty Messenger if you believe in those 4 life important values of Douglass. This trumps the race card. So as a Frederick Douglass Liberty Messenger, what we're saying is our values are in line and lockstep with Frederick Douglass. You can't call Douglass a racist. He was a victim of racism. You can't call him an Uncle Tom or a sellout because he escaped from slavery and helped others to escape from slavery. Frederick Douglass was an advisor to 5 U.S. presidents. 5 U.S. presidents. Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses S. Grant, James Garfield, Rutherford Hayes, and Benjamin Harrison. He rose from slavery to a statesman, from poverty to prosperity. He escaped from slavery in 1838. He escaped from slavery in 1838. What did he escape from? He escaped from slave master entitlements. Douglass was that 47-48%. He was a 47-48%. He was there. Oh, we got the answer to save this nation. That's through Frederick Douglass. He escaped from slavery. What did he escape from? He escaped from slave master run health care. I wish he escaped from slave government run health care. Slavery by government is still slavery. Douglass is the answer. Thank God we have a literary legacy of the writings of Frederick Douglass. He affirms the founding fathers. He respected the Constitution. Now, I'm not trying to put Douglass on a pedestal. What I want us to focus on the values that he lived by, which we call conservative values. The quintessential constitutional conservative and a self-proclaimed Republican. Here's the answer. With this mess, I've seen the most entrenched Democrats change how they vote. My brother included. and my parents. And my parents. I appreciate that. This mess, it works. So what we're doing here, what we're doing in Cincinnati, teach you how to do this. Train you how to do this. How to do this and get the same success that I get when I go out and speak and I talk to people and I engage. And don't think you can't do it. Stop believing the lie that you can't talk to somebody that's not of your ethnicity. Don't believe that lie. That's a lie straight from hell.
We never did. I never did.
Yeah.
People are people.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because I can do all things
Through Christ
who strengthens me. And think about this. I always get this. Always ask this question here. If you have doubt, if you can engage, because to be honest with you, I'm asking you to step out your political comfort zone. So you're going to step out your political comfort zone. Think about it. Who established a diversity outreach program that had major impact and influence in the world? Who established a diversity outreach program that had major impact and influence, in fact, turned the world upside down?
Abraham Lincoln.
It was Jehovah God. Jehovah God. How so, K. Carl? When he commissioned Paul to take the gospel to the Gentiles. Wait a minute. Paul was a Jew by ethnicity. He was commissioned to take the gospel to people of different races, the Gentiles. Paul had to be trained. You had to be trained. I had to be trained. I didn't get it right when I first started this thing. Before God gave me Frederick Douglass, when McCain won the nomination and Palin was the running mate, I went out and bought a McCain Palin t-shirt, called myself, I'm going out in the local level, I'm going to engage. You can imagine what I experienced. I was ostracized. I was criticized. I was humiliated and darn near decapitated. I said, Lord, give me something else. And that's when God gave me and started. We all said that. Yeah. But now we have an answer. So what I'm sharing with you is this. Frederick Douglass the key. Once this Frederick Douglass Liberty Messenger message or this Frederick Douglass Republican message gets on a national level and we're growing this nationwide army of Frederick Douglass Liberty Messengers, liberals will jump out of windows. They don't have an answer for this. It works. It trumps the race card. Let me give you two quick testimonies, and then I want to get some questions you may have. And I want to talk about this pamphlet here. Two testimonies just happened this week. I was in Tallahassee, Florida. I was invited to speak by the Tallahassee Tea Party two weekends ago, last Sunday before last. And went to the event. I walked in the auditorium to go there and speak, about 80 people there. I've been speaking to Tea Party groups all across the country. You know what? And normally when I go speak, I'm the only person of color there. So when I walked in this event, I saw the venue, I walked in, I saw 80 people, I saw 12 blacks, and said, okay, we got spies in the audience. We got spies in the audience, and we did. Well, one of the individuals in the audience was a guy by the name of, I can't remember his name, I can't remember the article. Brian is his first name. He's a reporter. He's a liberal reporter, a bumble of reporter for the Tallahassee Democratic newspaper, the left-wing rag paper. And so that was on a Sunday. The following day, Monday, I get a call from the president of the Tea Party there. She said, "Hey, Carl, I just got a phone with Brian. He's having problems with the article." I said, "What's going on?" He said, because he was going to write an article, because he was a right-wing watchdog for that event. He said, if he puts in the paper what he witnessed, what he saw, he'll lose his job. I said, well, that's a shame. Well, but I found out Sunday, he did put the paper article in this last Sunday paper. A very, 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 very positive article. And what he said in there was that K. Carl has a message that's quite compelling and convincing of getting people to vote their values and to make one question of their unquestionable allegiance to vote one way because of family tradition and start voting their values. And, come on. Black Americans are some of the most conservative folks you ever met in your life. We're just not voting our values. So this message that I'm sharing with you, when you share it with them, it helps them to realize that through their vote, they're actually spitting in the Christ's face through their vote. And it helps them understand, no, you're not voting your values. And so what happens, they have this awareness then accountability falls on their shoulder. And the second testimony, I want my brother to share this testimony because I was here last week. While I was here, I had another speaking event. I called him and said, hey, you got to go to Mobile and speak for me at the Baldwin County Republican Women. So while he spoke there, this situation happened. I want to let him share that with you, and I'll come back and close out. Okay?
I was speaking in Mobile, Alabama, to a Tea Party group. There was one male there who was the president of the local NAACP, and he had read K. Carl's book. So after the presentation was over, he came and said, Pastor Smith, I really enjoyed the presentation. He said, this message has changed my life, and I'm wrestling with not voting for Obama. He said, matter of fact, here's a donation to your movement. Wow. And so this is a staunch, liberal Democrat, president of the local NAACP. Wow. And it's changing how he votes. It's changing the way he's thinking politically right now. And this is the kind of effect that we're having across the country.
Great.
Our goal is we're going to teach the choir how to do this. Teach you how to do this. He mentioned about the book. Wrote a book with my brother's help. The book is entitled, I don't have here, we can't even keep the books. They just fly. The book is entitled Frederick Douglass Republican, The Movement to Reignite America's Passion for Liberty. That is an action handbook for conservatives. It gives you the information you need so you can engage. Douglass on the Constitution, Douglass on the Founding Fathers, Douglass on the 3/5 Clause. What did Douglass say about the whole issue of life? What did Douglass say about personal responsibility? That's why he escaped. Why? He wanted his God-given right for self-rule. He wanted personal responsibility. That's why he escaped from slavery. What did Douglass say about those things? And what did Douglass say about immigration? You got to read what he said about immigration. And so the book is not an intimidating read to look at the book. It's not an intimidating read. You probably get it done in 1 or 2 nights. But it gives you the information you need so you can engage the information you need. And going into our third printing, I can't keep the book, so as over the past few months, I will go around and talk to folks who bought the book and say, hey, how you doing? Are you engaging? Are you talking to your friends and family members and your fellow citizens? I said, no, K. Carl, I'm not. I said, you're not. You have the information. So I sat down and God said, K. Carl, they don't have the confidence to engage. You got to give them confidence. So God set me down. I wrote a companion guide to the book. The companion guide is called The Most Asked Challenges. Here's how God set me down, how He inspired me to write this book, this companion guide that comes with the book. When you study the ministry of Jesus Christ, you remember how the scribes and the Pharisees always tried to trap Jesus? To get him to say something damaging so they could discredit him. That's what liberals do to conservatives. They try to trap us, to get us to say something damaging so they can call us a racist. So they can call us a sellout, so we can go into our conservative closet. They silence our tongue. But go ahead and take that. But the Pharisees and the scribes, now, they did not realize that Jesus was a subject matter expert. And Jesus had the gift of taking the challenges and turn around and make a teachable moment. Now, we don't have it automatic like Jesus now. We have to carefully study to show ourselves approved. But we must master the craftsmanship or the craft of taking the challenges of the left and turn it around and make a teachable moment. So in this companion guide, I identify the 12 most asked challenges that conservatives face and how to turn around and make a teachable moment. Let me give you 2 examples. What's something you're talking, you're engaging at the local level, you're talking to your friends, your family members, and your fellow citizens. And they ask you, are you a conservative? What would you say?
Yes.
If you say yes, you just lost.
No.
Don't say no. Now, follow me here. The word conservative, the word Republican, and the word Tea Party, those 3 words all have a negative connotation. Why? We're losing the propaganda battle. Those words, not just in the minority communities now do have a negative connotation, but because we're losing the propaganda battle, the perception across the country is that those 3 words mean racist. There's still not the word racist. Like, let me quickly say this. I am a conservative. That's not how I define myself politically. I'm a Frederick Douglass Republican or a Frederick Douglass Liberty Messenger. The reason why the word conservative has such a negative connotation, when you say conservative, many people in the minority communities, they're thinking, they go back to the 1950s and 60s, and they think of the conservative Democrats who did what they could do to all the things they could possibly do to block civil rights legislation. They wrote the Jim Crow laws. They wanted to secure and hold on to the doctrine of their racist fathers. Now, as Republicans or as independents, we use the word conservative too, but we want to secure the values and the views of the founding fathers who wrote the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution. It's the same word now, but 2 different meanings. K. Carl, are you a conservative? I am a Frederick Douglass Republican or a Frederick Douglass Liberty Messenger. And I believe in the 4 life-empowering values of Frederick Douglass. Respect for the Constitution. Respect for life. I believe in limited government. In other words, I like to keep more of the money that I make. And 4, I believe in personal responsibility. It comes out of Thessalonians. If man doesn't work, you should not eat. Now, when you're talking to people, especially minorities, Hispanic or blacks, and you ask them, do you share those 4 values of Douglass? They're going to say yes. You say, well, guess what? That makes you a conservative. Better still, that makes you a Frederick Douglass Republican or a Frederick Douglass Liberty Messenger, and that's the hook. That's the hook. You turn that thing around on them. When you study the ministry of Jesus Christ, now, when the Pharisees and the scribes tried to challenge him, Jesus never responded by saying yes or no. Sometimes he'll respond with a question, or he'll say, it is written, or I'll tell you the truth. We're going to have a discussion about this thing. So that's why. Let me give you one more. There's 12. I want to give you this one. I talk about this in the book. Went to speak at the black group. They knew I was coming because they promoted the event. Before I got a chance to speak, a lady comes up to me. She said, I am an Obama lover. You and I will never agree. I said, ma'am, you're exactly right, because I'm a Jesus Christ lover. She said, I'm a Jesus Christ lover too. I said, wait a minute, that's not what you said. Jesus did not come out of your mouth, therefore he wasn't on your mind. You said exactly what you meant. And man, when you said that, you just made Obama a deity of the Christ, over the Christ. You go to Bible study to dissect God's word. You go to church to listen to the preaching. You go home and dissect what you just heard. You have your homeschool Bible program or your home reading program of the Bible. You're breaking God's word down to get a better understanding. Now, Jesus could not sin. Obama's of a sinful nature. You don't even question his policies. She bought a book. You see how this, I'm telling you, God is moving. God has his hand in the glove of human experience right now, and he's given me a message I'm proud of. I did not come up with this. God just he's allowing me to do something great for him, and this is a ministry for me. We got to save this nation, and God has given me Frederick Douglass as the vehicle. Thank God we have Douglass on our side. Because if we didn't have Frederick Douglass, I don't know what we would do. But that's not the case. That's not the case. So that's what we're doing. We have a strategy to save this nation, to get Ohio to become a red state, not just in 2012, but 2012 and beyond. We have an air campaign. We're going. I was on Hocus Beach. We're trying to get in Romney's ear, Governor Romney's ear. Can you imagine, with a level of sincerity, doing the debate, Governor Romney will say, over the past few weeks, I've been inspired. Now that's where we will excel as conservatives, because we have the best ideas.
But you know the really good thing about the black community is they're not afraid to talk about Jesus Christ.
That's right.
Well, most white people that I meet are. It's like they're put into a loony status.
I like your questions. Did I answer your questions? Remember now, this whole thing, you're stepping out of the comfort zone, so, yeah.
Give us a tweet
Yeah.
that we can send to Romney. And Rob, I don't know how to.
Portland.
Okay. We'll give you some 1 or 2 lines to say.
Yes.
Y'all work on that right quick. Give it
Yeah.
1 or 2 lines. That's why y'all
Come on,
hit me.
boys.
What do you think y'all do? Yes, ma'am.
Early on, you talked about, you mentioned the word healing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? And I would think that would be a very powerful, given our country is so divided and
Yes, ma'am.
so bitter,
Yes.
okay, that how do you